Over the past few years, I've been doing some research on healthier and more low sugar options for sweetening jam and jelly. So this is what I found. There are 9 good substitutes for sugar in making jam and jelly. Option number 1 is no sugar, just don't add any sugar at all. But if you use this option, then you'll need to use fruit pectin that's made for no sugar or low sugar recipes. And sure, gel is not the only option. Pomona's is an option, and there are others as well. Those are just the 2 that I'm more familiar with. Option number 2 is honey. Now, honey is a very healthy option, but you have to keep a few things in mind. If you're going to use honey, be sure to use the unfiltered, and it will tell you somewhere on the label or the packaging that it's unfiltered. Substitute at a rate of 7/8 of a cup of honey for every cup of sugar in your recipe. But there are a couple of drawbacks, and they are that honey is very strong, and it can affect the taste and the color of your jam and jelly. And after a few months of sitting on the shelf in your pantry, the jam and jelly will begin to darken, and they'll continue to darken. Now, that doesn't mean they're not still good, but the color is pretty unattractive. Option number 3 is turbinado or unprocessed cane sugar. Now, this is an excellent substitute, and it tastes very much like sugar. You can hardly tell the difference. And you substitute at a rate of 1:1. But keep in mind that the turbinado sugar is slightly tan colored, light brown, so it could affect the color of your jam or jelly, especially if you use lighter fruits. And another drawback is that it foams a lot, so you would need to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of butter to your recipe. Now, one benefit though of using turbinado is that it does still have some potassium and calcium that has not been filtered or processed out of it. Option number 4 is maple syrup. Because of the strong taste, it's recommended that you only replace 1/4 of the sugar in a batch of jam or jelly with maple syrup. So if your recipe calls for 4 cups of sugar, you would add 3 cups of sugar to the recipe and 2/3 cup of maple syrup. Number 5 is raw agave nectar. Now, this is a very healthy option, and it should be substituted at the rate of 3/4 cup of agave nectar for every cup of sugar that's called for in your recipe. Now, the agave nectar does add a little liquid to your recipe, so the total amount of the liquid in the entire recipe should be reduced to avoid watery jam. Number 6 is Truvia. Truvia is not an artificial sweetener. It is a sugar substitute because it's a product of a plant, the stevia plant. And you would substitute at the rate of 1/2 cup of Truvia for every cup of sugar called for in the recipe. Now, this tastes really good. I had a jelly customer who preferred the taste of the Truvia mayhaw jelly to the taste of the mayhaw jelly made with sugar. And she was diabetic, so it was a very good benefit for her. And there's only 5 calories per tablespoon added to the jam or jelly made with Truvia. And as a product of the stevia plant, it has been approved by the FDA for use by people with diabetes. Number 7 is Splenda, which is the only artificial sweetener that I would recommend for using in making jam and jelly. But Splenda should only be used with the pectin made for low or no sugar jam and jelly. And it should only be used in making refrigerator or freezer jams, because unlike sugar, the Splenda will not act as a preservative. And a couple of drawbacks is that your jam or jelly is going to be watery, and it will have a different color. It will be darker than jam or jelly made with sugar. Option 8 is beet sugar, which is an excellent substitute. There's very little change in taste from using cane sugar, and most people cannot tell the difference. And it can be substituted on a ratio of 1:1. And you can either make your own beet sugar or you can buy a commercial product. If you found this information helpful, please like and share. And option number 9 is homemade concentrated fruit juice, which is an excellent option, but it will make a watery jam, as will many of these substitutes for sugar. Thanks for stopping by.